Iowa football now with 6 expected quarterbacks on the roster heading into fall and August camp. We'll talk about Iowa's signing of former Wake Forest gunslinger Jeremy Hecklinski in just one moment. But first, a quick reminder to hit that like button and subscribe here From the Hawkeye of the Storm. We have a very special treat for everyone tomorrow. I'll put a plug in for our live show with former Hawkeye great Kasheen Alexander at the tail end of this video. But I recommend you turn notifications on. Be sure you're subscribed first and hit that like button on this video and on our live stream tomorrow. Again, thank you in advance. So Iowa football getting a commitment from and now a signing from former Wake Forest QB Jeremy Hecklinski. Here's a young man who played high school ball down in Georgia at Walton High School in the Marietta, Georgia area. As I mentioned, he signed with Wake Forest out of high school and reportedly had offers from some fairly high schools, a Big 12 school in Central Florida, along with Wake. He also reported North Carolina offered. He did not report this to some of the major recruiting sites, but he has since made that comment in interviews that he was offered by the Tar Heels, but he was locked into his commitment with Wake. He was also reporting offers from Georgia, Southern, and Eastern Kentucky, but he committed to Wake Forest pretty early in the process, actually December of his junior year. He had initially said he was not planning on committing until the following spring, but wanted to get it out of the way. And Dave Clawson, the then Wake Forest head coach, had prioritized Hecklinski in that 24 class. And according to Hecklinski, he was the only quarterback that Clawson and company recruited. He's a top 45 QB, according to 247 Sports. And it's interesting, he had a very close relationship with then offensive coordinator Warren Ruggiero, who is now an analyst with Tim Lester and this Iowa staff. So very interesting. You see the connection there. And it didn't sound like Iowa knew that this young man was entering the portal when they hired Ruggiero. I want to make sure I pronounce that correctly. I think I have that right. With the hiring of Ruggiero and the relationship that he had with this young man, who, by the way, redshirted last year, did enroll early. So he got spring ball last year in a Demon Deacon's uniform. He's got 4 years left. Now, he's a multi-sport athlete coming out of high school, played baseball and basketball in the past. And his dad, Randy Hecklinski, was actually a quarterback for the Bowling Green Falcons back in the 90s. And one of the things Hecklinski said he loved about the Ruggiero offense under head coach Dave Clawson was the RPO and the soft mesh concepts. We're going to see some more of that, I think, integrated into the Tim Lester offense. And Tim Lester has just raved about Warren Ruggiero as far as having an offensive passing analyst in there to assist him. And, of course, Tim Lester knows what he knows about the pass offense as well, given the success he had at Western Michigan and some other places. And, of course, he learned a lot in the NFL, too, with the Shanahan offense, etc. Now, back in high school, it's really most of the tape we have of Hecklinski. We have a little bit of spring ball from his time at Wake. A year ago, he was the 2023 Max Preps National Player of the Year semifinalist. He threw for over 3,800 yards and a 64% completion number during his senior year, threw 50 touchdowns to just 6 interceptions. He was an Adidas All-American. He's just undersized. I think that's the biggest thing. He's got all the throws. He's got all the tools in the toolbox besides size. He's pretty mobile. He's not what I'd call a dual threat guy, but he's definitely somebody who can scramble. To me, the easiest comparison I can make would be a guy that played at Penn State a few years ago, Trace McSorley. And we've compared people to McSorley in the past. In fact, we compared former Penn State, current Mizzou quarterback Bo Pribula to Trace McSorley. It was easy to make that comparison, that parallel, since McSorley and Pribula both played at Penn State. But the other part of this is their style of play. Pribula was recruited by Iowa before Iowa got Gronowski. The Hawkeyes were vetting and recruiting Bo Pribula, who ended up committing to Mizzou. But they do play similarly. I mean, you saw there were times where Trace McSorley made big plays with his legs, but he prefers to throw in the pocket. But one thing I really like about Hecklinski is he's comfortable throwing, running left, throwing, running right. He can throw on the move. He can throw stationary, and he's really good at maneuvering and escaping pressure in the pocket. And he throws with good anticipation. The size thing, he's listed at like 5'11", 6 foot. He's probably closer to 5'11". So you wonder about his ability to see over taller offensive linemen. Iowa's going to have, I think, quite a few. Some of the young offensive linemen that they have in the system right now, like Cannon Leonard, he's like 6'8". Trevor Lauk, he's probably 6'5". I mean, they typically recruit bigger guys. Even some of their centers here of late, like a Leighton Jones, is closer to 6'5". Logan's probably closer to 6'4". But they're going to have bigger guys in the interior and on the outside of that offensive line. So you do wonder about height at times, being able to see over those guys. By the way, he also reported interest at a high school from the likes of Georgia, Florida State, Duke, Cincinnati, Georgia Tech. He's from the South, but he kind of screams Midwest. He looks like just a good old country boy, frankly, when you hear him talk and you see him. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, that's kind of what C.J. Beathard looked like. C.J. maybe had more of the glamour with the long Goldilocks hair when he first got to Iowa. But I think Hecklinsky's got a little bit of that. He looks like he could have a future in country music. Who knows if he's got a voice? But that's what I thought when I listened to Jeremy Hecklinsky talk. But this is just a gem because Iowa didn't necessarily need to add to the quarterback room. And as I've said before, it's very rare. You have to go years back to find a time when Iowa carried 6 quarterbacks into fall camp. And they may have done that at some point in the last decade, but rarely are you going to have 4 guys on scholarship, plus a guy in Stratton who played a lot, started last year. I know he's technically an off-scholarship guy, a walk-on, but who cares? He's basically a scholarship guy. He's scholarship quality. I thought he was the best guy at spring practice, the open spring practice we got a look at. So this is going to be an interesting situation. I mean, you don't expect all of them to stay. My guess is in December, you're going to lose at least 1 or 2, maybe more. That's just the nature of the game. But Iowa would like to have Hecklinsky in for the long haul. I heard him comment down at the Polk County, I think it was a Polk County iClub event here in the last week, basically saying, hey, we'd like to get away from having to go to the portal every offseason at quarterback. But you don't always get what you want. You don't always get what you wish for. And we've talked about that with Kirk. You got to work outside the box. He's done a nice job of that with guys like McNamara. I know it didn't work out, but Gronowski, now Hecklinsky, they brought in other people as well, like Stratton, who is sort of under the radar. But this young man is a project, but he's got some moxie. He's got some confidence and some good accolades, as I ran through earlier. So, folks, that's the latest. Excited to see what Hecklinsky looks like once he gets here. My guess is he'll be here either this month or next. My guess is this month because they start summer conditioning early June, if I'm not mistaken. And so then you're also going to have Pat Fitzgerald's son, Ryan Fitzgerald, who will join the program and help. So we'll see. 6 guys, that's a lot of, not enough reps to go around, but that's a good problem to have at quarterback for a room that's struggled here in the last decade. Folks, appreciate you tuning in. Like I said earlier, hit that like button. Reminder, tomorrow, following Indiana Fever and Brazil Hoops, that's a nationally televised ESPN game. Tune in right here following the game for Iowa postgame with Kasheen Alexander, but we're going to call this Fever postgame with Kasheen Alexander because it's in Carver. There's a great opportunity to be able to talk and take calls. We're going to do all of that as we do during the women's basketball season. Tune in right here live following the game for postgame coverage with myself and Kasheen Alexander. We'll talk to you Sunday.